Hello, it is I, Asher Hill, and if you are seeing my face and hearing my voice, you know exactly what time it is. Yes, it is time for yet another figure skating season, and not just any season. It is the Big O. We are just over 100 days away from the 2026 Olympic Winter Games in Milano Cortina, and we have so much to talk about. It's a little bit too much for me, so I brought a guest. Three-time Olympic medalist and the Duchess of Triple Lutzes, Kaetlyn Osmond.
Hello,
Hi,
Asher.
Kaetlyn. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fantastic now that you're here. Thank you so much for joining us. I heard that you are skipping school and your GPA may suffer for this. I thank you tremendously. And if you need me to write a sick note, I got you.
Great. I hope my GPA doesn't suffer. It's my last year.
We are kicking off the Grand Prix circuit with the Grand Prix de France in Angers starting October 17th. And then Skate Canada will be our midway point on spooky Halloween. I'm scared, are you? And it will, of course, be wrapped up in December with the Grand Prix final. And of course, you can tune in starting October 17th on CBC Gem to catch all of these 6 events. But Kaetlyn, are you ready to get into this?
Always.
All right. Starting with the women, we have 4 women on the Grand Prix circuit this year: Catherine Medlin-Spence, Sarah Maud Dupuis, Yuliana Sherieva, and Madeline Skizis. The latter 3 will all be at Skate Canada International. Catherine Medlin-Spence has NHK, and Maddie is the only one with 2 Grand Prix heading to the Finlandia trophy. Now, all of these skaters have pretty much had a Challenger Series event. And so what have you seen from Madeline Skizis so far as she enters the Grand Prix Series?
Well, Madeline started strong in the rankings, like with a 3rd place finish, second in the short program in Kazakhstan over the last weekend or so. And ultimately, she has really strong elements. I love her programs this year. They suit her really well. That being said, the jumps have been a little bit of a difficulty. Popping a triple lutz into a double in the short program, falling on the triple flip, and then having a few errors in the free program also. So interested to see how that develops over this season. She tends to be stronger later in the season from what I've witnessed in the past. So I think this is just the first couple stepping stones.
Yeah, I think that was a strategy for her because she is event maxing this season. I think that Dennis 10 Memorial was either her 5th competition before heading into the Grand Prix season. So she's really trying to push for that preparedness so that she peaks earlier than later. And I think it's been pretty good. In terms of the short program, I think Dennis 10 was the only one where she really, really faltered. They've been clean other than that, but you know, as you're heading into the Olympic season, these events kind of matter because they put you into the conversation of really securing your Olympic spot. And of course, Canada has only 1.
And also, the more outings that you show being strong, the more your name ends up in conversation, which always assists in skating.
Absolutely. They want to see that you're good to give you the good scores, unfortunately. But somebody, a Canadian woman who is making some big waves, Sarah Maud Dupuis at the Andre Nepola Trophy in Bratislava. She became the first Canadian woman to land a triple axel in international competition. It was kind of a big step out, but still a big, big moment for her. And I actually saw her nail it in her run through at the high performance camp. So it's right there and ready for her. And so, Kaetlyn, let's talk about how hard it is to do a triple axel, why we haven't seen it in the Canadian women's event, and what it means for her to add such a big ticket item in the Olympic year.
From my experience, I have no experience doing triple axel, so I have no clue how difficult it is. Ravi tried to convince me to do triple axel once, and I shut it down really fast. But I think a big reason why we haven't seen it in Canadian women's history recently, well, at all until now, is just we haven't needed it to compete within the country. All of our champions have won being able to do triples or triple triples. But that changes. The more you see someone doing it, the more someone else is going to do it. Which is what I'm really hoping happens now that Sarah Mode showed, like, okay, Canadians can do triple axel. Let's all put band together and try to figure it out. And that's kind of the same thing happened back in 2012, I think it was. I did triple toe in the short program, and I was the only one in that event who did triple. And then now you see it even at our pre-novice level. So I think it just needs to be seen for other people to do it.
Every pressure will create more success, and Maddie's actually a person that kind of thrives off that. So hopefully that will fare well for her. Before we leave the women, your former teammate Gabrielle Daleman is back to training. She's in the U.S. And she plans on competing through the national circuit this year in Canada. How do you feel she will fare after being away for so long?
Oh, well, it has been a while, and she's been through a lot in the last number of years. Gabrielle has competed on the biggest of possible stages. I was on the podium with her in Worlds in 2017, and then we were on the gold medal team in 2018. So she has that ability and she has that experience, but then she also has the opposite experience when things just don't work the way that you're hoping to. So I'm rooting for her this year. I think she really showed a strong outing at the summer competition that she did. And I'm curious how far that can progress into our national competitions when there's a little bit more pressure, because people know who she is. She's not coming in unknown. And people are rooting for her also. So I hope she feels that.
Yes, I think the more competition, the better, especially often in the Canadian women, we have one and then the rest kind of just fizzle out. So it's good to see that they're really pushing the top skater. So let's head on to the men's event. We have 3 strong men competing on this Grand Prix circuit. Alexa Rakic, Roman Sadovsky, and Stephen Gogolev. All 3 will go head-to-head at Skate Canada. Roman is the only one with a second Grand Prix. That will be Finland. And they've had a few Challenger Series, and I will say that these men have had pretty good to stellar results. Alexa Rakic was 7th at Konishida Cup in Japan. It was a very tough event. He got a personal best in that short program. But I think the really interesting thing here is Stephen Gogolev and Roman Sadovsky. Gold at Cranberry Cup for Roman, and then a bronze for Stephen Gogolev. Then they went head-to-head again at Double Horn Trophy, where Gogolev ran away with it. Almost a 25-point increase from Cranberry Cup. And he has struggled so long from, I think it was 13 when he won the Grand Prix final, and he was supposed to be like the phenom, and it's just been 6 years of growth spurts and injury, and he's finally making himself like the man in the conversation for that lone spot.
Truly mind-blowing to see him able to perform the jumping side that's his strong suit, is his jumps, but also now to see the choreography being pulled into that. So he's becoming more well packaged, and that's what I'm really enjoying seeing in his skating this year. And then along this lines as Roman. Roman has had strong elements in the past, but his artistry is also next level, and being able to combine 2 programs together goes such a long way, especially in the men's category. I find where there's usually one program a little stronger than the other. So I'm excited to see both of them put it all together and see how that progresses throughout the season.
And like I said, they've gone head to head, so it's just a direct comparison. It's just a little foreshadowing for that national championship, and it's going to be a very exciting one. We would be amiss if we did not mention the return of the Alaska man himself, Keegan Messing. Yes, this summer he announced his return to skating after landing some quads and skating at a high caliber during some Stars on Ice shows. Elijah Balde and Kurt Browning really helping him find his way to that. And Kaetlyn, I ask you, how do you think that Keegan will fare? He's not 100%. He's dealing with an Achilles injury. And do you think that he will be able to snag that lone spot for the Canadian men?
Well, Keegan is a very strong athlete and um, such a crowd pleaser, and he loves performing, which goes a long way in developing a lot of points. You still got to get the tricks done, and it's nice to see that it's not going to be a smooth ride from this season. That come out really wrong, but I'm happy that he's challenged, and that the other men are coming up here and saying like, "No, you can come back, but we're not going down without a fight."
It's going to be an exciting men's event for sure for those Canadian Olympic spots, or just one Olympic spot. Let's head on to the pairs, where it's been the usual three suspects on the Grand Prix circuit for Canada: Maxime Deschamps and Diana Stellato-Dudek, Kellyanne Lauren and Luca Etier, and Trent Michaud and Leah Pereira. And they will all be going head to head at Skate Canada. Deanna and Max, of course, were 2024 world champions. They finished 5th this year, were second at, medaled at both their Grand Prix last year, but because of illness had to withdraw from the Grand Prix final. I think they did a lot of learning from that season, and talking to Deanna and Max at High Performance Camp, they really love the feeling of charging from behind, because they think they're going to be super unexpected by their competition that thinks that they've left them behind. And she's just always super laser focused, and they both are. And they have this cool show-stopping move in their Carmina Burana short program with that backflip in the step sequence. It's kind of dividing some people. Do you like the backflip? And what do you think about their chances for glory in this Olympic season?
I find in pairs anything is possible. There's a lot of really strong athletes, but it really depends on who delivers in that day. So as long as they perform to their absolute best, there's a shot of amazingness that could happen this season. Um, that being said, with the backflip, I'm also 50-50 on it. So the pro side of it, I think it's incredible. I think they're always trying to incorporate new things and trying to stay relevant in everything that's happening in the sport. And adding in those backflips adds to that, and just showing how incredible it is that it doesn't matter how old you are in the sport, you can do a backflip.
Yep.
Uh, but with that is also the idea, it does break up the choreography, I find. It's not a smooth transition into the backflip, so I think like the interruption in the program is a little jarring. So I think if that gets smoothed out throughout the season, I'll become more pro to it.
I kind of agree. I know people are like, it's too acrobatic. And I'm like, but that's literally pairs. They're never not doing acrobatic. So I'm with you. I lean towards enjoying it because, I like a little bit of close to death in my figure skating. Why not? Of course, they they won the John Nicks Cup pretty handedly. But let's go on to Leah Pereira and Trent Michaud. They had such a breakout season the first time they came out. I think the Paris circuit was a little weaker, but they were still fantastic and good. Last year at Worlds, they were 6th. They were 11th, but they've been as high as 6th. And they competed at Nebelhorn, where they actually did finish 6th, 11th in the short program after a very uncharacteristic put down of a lift. But how do you feel about the progress of this team, and if they will strike the same kind of energy and fire they did when they first came out as like more of a novelty team?
They're both very strong competitors, and they're both eager to always improve. And I think that's really going to show this year, knowing that there is a second Olympic spot, having that goal of making the Olympic team. Trent with his previous partner, Evelyn, were the alternates for 2022. So he's going to have a fire under him to not be the alternate this time around again, which can lead to a lot of amazing things, but then it also leads to uncharacteristic things like the lift going down at Nebelhorn. But I think early in the season, making those mistakes is okay, because it makes you not want to do them again. Like, you don't want to do it to begin with, but it teaches you like you can't just let it happen. It helps you stay more focused during the rest of the season.
And I do train with them at Milton. Train, I mean, I coach. I don't move my body anymore. But what I've really loved enjoying is seeing their progression and their program components. These programs are not just technically difficult; they're also artistically difficult, and they keep pushing themselves. Trent is even just working on making sure that his leg extension is perfect anytime he has a stretch. So I think they are really aiming to be the best that they can be as they head into these Olympic Games. Quickly, Kellyanne Lauren and Luca Eche, 16th at Worlds last year. We haven't really seen them this season at all. They only did the short program at Provincials in Quebec in the summer. They were injured for high performance camp. They don't have a Challenger Series under their belt, so it looks like Skate Canada will be their debut, and then they will also be heading to Skate America. Also, Fiona Bombardier and Benjamin Mimar were assigned to the Cup of China, but have since withdrawn, and they were also not at team camp. So I am hoping the best for them. But let's head on to the show-offs, the ice dancers, the prancers. I don't know if you know, Kaetlyn, the theme of this year's Rhythm Dance is, and I always have to look down because it's a mouthful. It is rhythms, dance styles, and feelings, textures of the 90s. Again, a mouthful of a title, but maybe that's like a Beanie Baby, over tweezed eyebrows, and Spice Girls, which, I'm down for. Anyways, Canada has 4 strong teams on the Grand Prix circuit, and Canada's maxed out their 3 Olympic quota spots. So they're all vying for one of those 3 spots. Of course, we have Alyssa Fabry and Paul Ayer, Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier, Zachary Lega and Marjorie Lajoie, and Marie-Jade Loriot and Roman Lagac. Let's start off with the veterans, Piper and Paul. Some personal news for Paul. In the summer, he announced that he is engaged to his longtime boyfriend, Kevin. Yay! Congratulations. I actually did just see him for brunch on Saturday. It's been like 3 years in the making. We're terrible at making plans. But, last Grand Prix season was weird for them. They had uncharacteristic falls at the Grand Prix final, at their second Grand Prix, but they seemed to balance themselves out throughout the season. Gold at 4 continents again, another silver medal at Worlds, and this year they are bringing back my favorite program that they've ever done, that Vincent van Gogh program. I can't wait to cry again, and it's going to be reimagined is what they're calling it. You've brought back programs that make you feel comfortable, you feel like needed a second life. What do you think about skaters bringing that back, and why do they often do it for an Olympic year?
I find a lot of skaters that bring back programs, it's because either they've looked at music and can't find anything that just hits you that exact same way. Um, or it's a feeling of nostalgia or a memory or just something that you want to bring back and share in that moment again. For myself, I brought back my EdFPF program. I said I would never going to bring back a program before, but I had choreographed a program that I was skating for the summer and training, and realized before the season started that I was just like, you know what, it's not the same as my short program from the year before, which was EdFPF. Pros to that, you feel very, very comfortable with the program and the choreography. You know it's delivered well, so it's already performed on an international stage and gotten great feedback. Downsides to it is if it has done well before, you have that expectation of wanting to make it that good again. So it adds a little bit of extra nerves, at least it was for me. I find it hard to bring back a program, especially when it was doing really well, because you're like, oh, I've just done this clean so many times and it worked really well every time. What if it doesn't work now?
Yeah, you have that special attachment to it, and especially when you skate well, like those are good memories. The bad programs you want to block out, and then especially in ice dance, bringing back a program can be a little risky because, of course, we've all seen it. It's not like, of course, there's new elements. You can definitely weave it. I'm excited to see how they've really updated the program, and I think they'll do it justice. But it can be a little bit more of a risk in ice dance, I think. So let's talk about Marjorie Lajoie and Zachary Legas. Decent year last year, qualified for the Grand Prix final, actually beat Piper and Paul at the Grand Prix final after their fall. Slow start to the season for them in training. They let me know at national team camp that they were injured, and they also talked a lot about trying to find like their voice amongst the top ice dancers. They're just right on the cusp of making a medal. And have you ever felt that, like, okay, I'm almost there, but I feel like I'm not really here? And like, how do you kind of deal with that as you head into the Olympic Games or trying to make the push to the next step, which is the podium?
Isn't that figure skating? But no, I get it,
No,
especially
yeah.
when you're on the cusp, you're looking at the skaters above you and saying like, okay, what are they doing that I'm not doing? And then you try to weave in some of those components to hopefully make your own skating become more noticeable or bigger or louder, so that you start getting the higher marks also and moving up the rankings. The danger of that is that you can forget what your actual skating is. So you want to incorporate all the things that make the top skaters, while also being unique enough and interesting enough, um, and getting what you want out of your own skating and your own passions, because that's also going to come out. If you just start following along with the trends, your passion might dwindle with that, and then that usually leads to more difficulties in the sport to begin with. So I think it's that, trying to fit in while still staying unique and still staying true to yourself, and that's hard to do when it's a judged sport, because, well, your opinions and passions are being judged. But but yeah.
No harm at all to you at all. It's fine.
No.
I love being judged. It's so good. I completely agree. I've been through that before myself. Trying to find yourself and then just realizing, just dance, and you can lose yourself. Quickly, we'll talk about Loriot and Legac versus Fabry and Ayer. Of course, we have 3 spots. I will say that these 2 teams are the ones to be duking it out. They are teammates from the Ice Dance Academy of Montreal. Paul Ayer and Alicia Fabry actually beat them out at last year's Nationals to secure their world's debut, where they finished 19th. And so Legac and Loriot, they moved to the Ontario satellite for IM, and they have just been laser focused and event maxing. They have a bronze at Nublehorn, a silver at Lake Placid International, and a gold at Kaneshita, which was a pivotal win for them because it blew Ayer and Fabry, who finished 5th, out of the water by almost 30 points, and that secured them that last Skate Canada spot that they were just leaving open. Paul Ayer and Alicia Fabry will be heading to NHK Trophy, of course, but I kind of, in the tea leaves, it looked like they were pushing the younger team to be ahead of them, and I feel like it lit a fire under their tushes, and they are not letting it slow down at all. But let's head on to some international news, okay? And the first one is the music rule change that have been driving tons of skaters all over the world absolutely insane. Kaetlyn, if you don't know, skaters pretty much just have to make sure they have the clear permissions and licenses to use copyrighting music, so they just don't get sued. And it's caused some headaches, here in Canada. More specifically, Deanna Stellato-Dudek's brother actually wrote a cover of "In the Air Tonight" by Phil Collins, and they were going to use it for their short program. They had the choreography all done. Didn't get cleared, so he had to go back to Laurie Nickel, probably pay some extra money, And then they're skating to Camarina Eberana. And as well as, we just talked about them, Lagac and Loriot, they have a Prince rhythm dance that's actually really fun, but they know that they're just using it for a short time and not the season, as the ISU is not enforcing, but the IOC is, so they will probably have to get rid of it by December. And if they do make the Olympic Games, they will have a new, fresh program. So, Kaetlyn, picking music on a non-Olympic year is stressful enough. Adding this layer of make sure it's cleared. If you have an idea, it changes. How could this be affecting skaters' choices and creativity?
Well, part of it might be the reason why you've seen people go back to old programs. Part of it um, is why some skaters weren't ready for the beginning of the season, because picking music is a time-consuming task. Um, Even before the season, I know like Ravi and I used to sit down starting in January before nationals and started picking out music. He already had a list of like 100 songs that I had to pick through, um, getting ready for the next season. So if you start a little later and then you have this incredible idea, and then it was kind of uncertain how the licensing was going to work at first, and then now people are searching for it, and then some things are getting cleared, some things aren't, some versions of it are being cleared and others aren't. So it is a hard task picking music, and you want to stay unique and you want to stay relevant, but you also want to stay classic and a part of skating to make everybody happy, because again, that's what skating is. You got to make sure everyone's happy. um and picking music is like probably the most controversial thing of the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really resonated with you trying to make everybody happy, except for sometimes yourself. But we also had some other big international news. The skate to Milano was skaters' last chance to secure or gain some spots for their countries. And I think the biggest one, of course, were the neutral athletes from Belarus and Russia. They were allowed to nominate one person per discipline, but they had to follow very strict guidelines. They couldn't have supported the war in Ukraine, following anti-doping protocols, and actually only the women and the men cleared. They have no pairs or ice dance at the Olympic Games. Peter Gumenik of Russia easily qualified by winning by 35 points. Adelia Petrosen of Russia won the women's event, and Victoria Safonova of Belarus also earning a spot with a fourth place finish. Kaetlyn, it's been controversial to allow these skaters back into the Olympics and compete under a neutral flag with, the years of doping violations, and then of course the war in Ukraine. So what are your thoughts about these athletes being allowed back into the Olympic Games for Milano Cortina?
When it comes to the skaters being allowed back into competition, I think it has been a long time. It's been since the 2022 Olympics since they've been competing internationally, and I still don't know I'm still trying to decide how I feel about it. I think it's right to start integrating people back into competition, bringing in a different level, a different type of competitors. I think every country should be represented as much as they possibly can. I also do agree with them having to meet certain challenges and certain qualifications to be able to compete. Part of me wonders why it happens on Olympic year. Why not just finish out the quad and then reintegrate everybody back into competition after that? But it's good to see skaters back in competition and adding that next level of competing.
Yeah, I'm with you. I kind of flip-flop between they shouldn't be there, but then also, some of these kids are really young. We also know that not everybody within a country is a reflection of their governments. It is nice to see ISU take a stand, or ISC take a stand when it comes to these conflicts, but sometimes they can be a little choosy with that. I will just leave it at that. But lastly, let's talk about who's back. Alyssa Liu, she started it. She came back in a big way, won Worlds last year, and now a lot of skaters seem to have unfinished business sur le glace. let's start off with the Shibu Tanis. It has been 7 years, a cancer diagnosis for Maya, authoring 4 kids' books, being inducted into the US Figure Skating Hall of Fame, and now they're back. They've announced in May that they will be back. They're continuing their tutelage under Maria Zueva and Massimo Scali, and they already have 2 Grand Prix, NHK, which of course they love them there, and Finlandia. They're coming back to a very different landscape, so I look forward to seeing how that will look. Wenjing Sui and Song Han, the beloved pair team, are also back. They've won literally every single major event in ISU history, at least once. Probably mostly twice. But I'm excited to see them back again. They're coming to a very, very stacked field. And lastly, we have the formation of the supergroup of Guillaume Cizeron and Laurence Fournier-Baudry. They will be representing France. After Gabriela Papadakis retired, Guillaume was looking for a partner. And then as well, Laurence had to kind of stop and look for a new partner because her partner, Nikolai Sorensen, was found guilty for sexual malpractice and received a 6-year ban. But they are the team that I think will cause trouble in the ice dance event. They've only competed at a domestic event, the French Masters, where they scored 219. For context, Chalk and Bates scored 222 to win Worlds last year. It is a domestic event, so you know that we love to inflate the marks at all. But they will face Piper and Paul in Finland. It's going to be exciting to see them back. And Kaetlyn, who of these are you most excited to see back?
Right now, I'm just loving your little skating realities of inflated scores. I'm excited.
It doesn't happen?
Maybe, you know. I'm not going to say anything, but I'm excited for, well, everything this season. I just love skating in general, but also an Olympic year when everyone tries to show off their best things. And it's when there's always a little bit of something that you don't expect. And I find the skaters coming back this year, it's interesting. I think this is the most skaters we've ever had come back in 1 year. Unless I'm missing something. But I think it's incredible because these skaters are coming back to prove something to themselves, but they're not necessarily coming back to expect something from the skating world, I guess. So they're coming in with little expectations, maybe a little less training, but also fresher limbs and bodies after not competing for a while. So I'm curious how it's going to pan out. I'm excited for everything this season. Is that just being too general? Because I'm pumped.
It's Olympic season, girl. Get excited. I'm getting excited. Yeah, of course. Are there anybody you think might surprise us this season, like a dark horse? Last question before I let you go.
Everybody, everyone's a dark horse on Olympic year. I just think that this season, this Olympic year, there's no clear winner for any event. Obviously, Ilya's strong in the men's event, but Yuma's there. There's a bunch of other skaters that are there waiting to kind of jump on the podium. Exactly. The women, it's really toss a hat, hope for the best, who's going to win. And then the dance in the pairs has kind of been that way over the last couple of years. Maddie and Evan have won the last 2 world championships, so they're going in for a fight. But at the same time, you have Guillaume and Laurence coming back to compete, and they have the experience. Guillaume's been on the podium more than probably anyone currently competing. And yeah, like everything is up in the air. Like, and that's what I really love about this Olympic season is that there's nothing set in stone.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's going to be a fight for domestic events here in Canada and internationally. I cannot wait to see the SmackDown. It's going to be exciting. Of course, you can catch all of the Grand Prix action on CBC Gem starting October 17th with the Grand Prix de France. Kaetlyn, thank you so much. Have a good day and good luck.
Thank you. Bye.